For a very long time there's been an argument in the Tactics RPG fandom. What game is better, Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre? Well, that argument is over because Triangle Strategy is here. Okay, well, maybe not, but it's pretty close. Releasing initially on the Nintendo Switch and later on the PC, Triangle Strategy is a modern-day SRPG that borrows and improves on a lot of the systems found in both Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. The game has received critical and commercial acclaim. According to lead developer Tomoya Asano, just 2 weeks after release, the game had sold over 1 million copies worldwide. Pretty good for a brand new series in a genre that's not exactly super popular. The Switch version of the game is currently sitting at an 83 on Metacritic, with the PC just edging it out at 84. Both versions have received high scores from popular review outlets. So yeah, it's better than Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. Video's over, thanks for watching, please sub and hug a cat, bye. Okay, no seriously, all joking aside, let's do a deep dive on this game and see how it stacks up to the two kings of tactics. Triangle Strategy was first announced during a Nintendo Direct on February 17, 2021 as Project Triangle Strategy. The game being a hot collab between Square Enix and Art Dink, with Tomoya Asano as lead developer. Asano had previously produced Bravely Default and the Octopath Traveler game, so this, in my humble opinion, was a fucking delightful start. Asano said he wanted to create a game with a more adult-oriented story and felt that a tactics RPG would fit this niche. And he wasn't wrong. Games like Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre both have stories that are deep political affairs with complex characters and deep relationships. When the game was announced on Nintendo Direct, shortly thereafter a demo was made available on the Switch. The incredible thing about this is that Square Enix said that they would take feedback from the demo and use this feedback to update the game accordingly. And even more incredibly, they actually did this. This was an amazing revelation, as Square Enix are not known to be so accommodating to fans. Some of these changes were the addition of difficulty modes, the ability to read previous dialogue, and new camera controls. Wow, Square Enix, you did it! Thanks! Eventually, Project Triangle Strategy had its official name confirmed as, well, Triangle Strategy. I, along with a lot of people, reacted by saying, but why though? The title sounds like a placeholder title for something that hasn't been properly named yet. I mean, the game is about 3 kingdoms and has strategy in it, so it makes sense, but by using that naming convention, Fire Emblem should be called Royal Big Fight, or Shining Force should be called Big Bunch of Guys Doing a Big Punch-Up, or Final Fantasy being called, well, Final Fantasy. I guess that one actually works. The story of Triangle Strategy is a deeply complex and gripping political affair. The continent of Norzelia is home to 3 kingdoms, Glenbrook, Esfrost, and Hyzant, all of whom are vying for political power and the limited resources of salt and iron on the continent. This story takes place 30 years after the aptly named Salt-Iron War, which saw the continent thrown into mayhem over similar issues. The majority of the continent's iron is found in snowy Esfrost, while the majority of the continent's salt is found in the desert of Hyzant. Glenbrook is made up of many smaller houses forming one big boy kingdom. It's all a bit... Sorry, I've been trying to avoid making a comparison, but it's all a bit Game of Thrones-esque. I know, it's kinda gauche to compare fantasy politics stories to Game of Thrones, but it actually fits in this instance. But do you know what's a better comparison? Triangle Strategy has a deep and compelling story not unlike Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. Yes, the story is complex enough to easily sit alongside FFT and TO. You play the role of Serenoa, the heir to House Wolffort of Glenbrook. Joining him is the second prince of Glenbrook, Roland, princess of Esfrost, Frederica, who is Serenoa's fiancée, and a Roselle, an enslaved people reigned by Hyzant, and steward of House Wolffort, Benedict. It is through these 4 characters that most of the story is told. The ideals of these 4 characters will shape the path the game takes. There are branching storylines that are all, to be quite honest, very compelling. You'll encounter plenty of quote-unquote good guys and quote-unquote bad guys who are all vying for personal and kingdom-centric stakes during the game. There is a lot of morally grey area stuff going on in all 3 kingdoms, setting the stage for some really heart-wrenching scenes. Now, the story and storytelling are all great, but what is not great is the voice acting. The English voice acting is really amateurish stuff. After just a few hours, I swapped over to the Japanese voice track. But Japanese voices in such a European-style fantasy scenario just didn't fit very well for me. In the end, I just shut the voices off altogether. And this is definitely a personal thing for me. You might like the voice acting, we all have different opinions on this kind of thing. But another compelling reason to turn off the acting is due to the vast amount of dialogue. Sitting through all the voice acting adds a lot of playtime for those of us who read fast. So if you're like me, you might want to turn off all the voices just so you can power on through the story at a faster pace. There is a lot of exposition and it's really good, but I devour an RPG story more like a novel than a movie. But if you treat your RPGs more like TV shows or films, you might enjoy listening to all of that dialogue. The storyline will change as you make choices and earn conviction points. These come in 3 delicious flavors: morality, utility, and liberty. These are earned primarily by making decisions, but you can also earn points by buying items, selling items, and engaging in some battles. These points affect storyline progression and what characters join you, and in some instances, what characters leave you. Your main characters all get to vote during key story segments on what to do next. The results will determine on how the story progresses, and will also earn you conviction points. It's a really unique system that adds loads of replayability to the game. By the time I was done, I was on my 5th playthrough. That's right, I did New Game Plus 4 fucking times. The gameplay systems of Triangle Strategy is where the game really opens up. Battles are huge, sprawling affairs that are somehow both accessible and engaging. At the start of a battle, you'll get a brief overview of the win and loss conditions, you'll get to look over the map, and you'll get to choose your units. All straightforward stuff, but is implemented all really well. The game is grid-based, just like Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre, but the controls and camera make navigation smooth and fast. There's a lot of verticality in these maps, so you'll oftentimes find units being obscured, but that's fine, just swing the camera around. If you are on a large map, you can pull the camera out to see more of what's happening. I often found myself when in a rush to finish a battle, pulling the camera all the way out and swinging the map around to a fully top-down view. Not unlike a chessboard, this really helped with taking everything in really quickly. But other times when I had more time to bask in the game, the default view is just beautiful. You can tell everything is a grid, but the animation effects just look so gorgeous that you have to stop and stare at it. This really is the HD 2D that they are so quickly to call it. It's not super lifelike, but it is a very realized form of art. Just this incredible looking grid-based tactics game. It's awe-inspiring. When choosing units, you'll have a lot to choose from, and every unit is wholly unique. The characters have classes, but each character has a different class. No 2 melee units are the same, no 2 mage units are the same, no 2 archer units are the same. Every single character has their own strengths and weaknesses, their own skills, their own stats. Your battle party is totally flexible, and you'll find yourself trying out at some point just about every single member that joins your party. For me, the units I kept gravitating to were the archer characters. Yeah, I know, no one has ever said that. The last time I was truly enamored with an archer unit was May from Shining Force 2. She was an absolute powerhouse, especially after she was promoted. But for me, I used every single archer in Triangle Strategy. Whether it was Rudolph and his shorter range but super powerful attacks, Huette with her mounted flying attacks giving you absolute law over the battlefield, Archibald with his powerful long range hits, or Trish with her abilities to act several times per round, every single archer in this game is a stellar choice to bring into battle. Mages are also incredible powerhouses. Frederica might be the strongest unit in the entire game, with her Scorch skill obliterating swathes of high-power units, and Izala with her lightning spells potentially paralyzing enemies, and her ultimate spell hitting every single enemy on the battlefield regardless of their location. If you like ranged combat, you're going to be absolutely spoiled playing this game. Combat also has terrain and weather effects that affect movement on the battlefield. Some characters have abilities that will allow you to increase your movement to help offset this hindrance. You'll also be able to interact with some furniture on the battlefields to move around. Lifts on mountainsides, minecarts in caves, and zip lines between ships are just a few. Your boy Jens can even build ladders during combat to help traversal for your units. There is a unit for everything in this game. In between the story battles, you can also engage in mental mock battles. This is an elaborate way to say challenge battles. In between story segments, you can access your encampment, a safe haven where you can talk to your characters, buy equipment, promote your units, and engage in these mental mock battles. These are handy because you can replay them as often as you want for experience, money, items, kudos, and conviction points. Experience is obviously used to level up, money is used to buy items and equipment, kudos are points that you can spend to unlock quietest skills and high-end items for promotions, and conviction points you already know about. Lots to take in, isn't there? Like I said, this game is fucking thick with content. So quietest skills are skills that you learn through using your kudos points, and they can be accessed anytime you have a turn in battle. Some of these skills will give you a temporary critical boost, some will teleport you around the map, some will grant you technique points to use personal skills. I neglected quietest skills at first until I realized that using the right combination will give you massive movement bonuses, or the ability to boost a character for one huge attack. Fleet-footed was my favorite. Use it right at the start of a battle, give everyone 2 bonus movement on their first action, and then engage the enemy right from the first breath of combat. Incredible stuff. Inside the encampment, you can also promote your characters using bravery medals to hit promotion level 1 and valor medals to hit promotion level 2. There's none of this silly wait till level 20 to promote your characters so Roy doesn't suck as much. Pro tip, Roy always sucks. Instead, you can hit promotion 1 at any point after level 10 and promotion 2 anytime after level 20. You'll immediately get new skills and some stat increases. It's a real elegant way of combining the Shining Force style of promotion and the Fire Emblem style of promotion. Your weapons also get a similar progression as your units. You don't buy new weapons as you go along, but you collect materials to upgrade them. Like promotion, there are 3 levels. As you level up your weapons, you unlock abilities that give you bonuses to your stats and battle skills. It's a really cool and fun system that had me constantly looking out for the required mats. The only issue with this is that these weapon upgrades also cost money, and a lot of the mats can be purchased for money. On top of the expensive price of healing items, temporary stat boosting items called Spice, and attack items, I was broke. The whole fucking game. Even after my 4th run of New Game Plus, I was broke. Mental mock battles are great for a bit of money, but dude, you just never have enough money in this game. All in all, the most fun I had with this game was the micromanagement of my units. Yes, I love the story, and yes, I really love the combat, but it was the constant managing of my units that I absolutely could not get enough of. I ended up getting everyone to max level of 50, promoted all my units, promoted all my weapons, unlocked all of the quietest skills, and got all of the character stories. Now, one thing that can happen in SRPGs with huge amounts of characters is that character development can be lacking if not totally absent. I have played plenty of SRPGs where units will join your party and not say anything ever again for the rest of the game. Triangle Strategy has character stories to help flesh out these side units. Your main characters, Serenoa, Roland, Frederica, and Benedict, and a few others, are involved with the story throughout the entirety of the game. These main characters get a lot of screen time and their personalities get filled out extremely well. In between battles, you will get the chance to view optional character stories that further flesh out all of your characters, including your optional side characters. This is incredible because every single unit in this game gets at least one character arc, so no one feels like a disposable generic unit. The game's score was composed by Akira Senju and is a feast for the ears. Senju studied composition at the Tokyo National University of Fine Arts and Music and received his master's degree with honors. In Japan, he might be known most for producing a number of cover albums for Japanese singer Akina Nakamori between 1994 and 2003. These albums sold millions of copies. Triangle Strategy's tracks revolve around classical and folk melodies, and they really set the mood for the game's world and events. The main theme is an absolute banger. I think the legacy of Triangle Strategy is going to be to sit alongside Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. This game is not a carbon clone of those titles, but takes elements of both and builds on them. The huge story and huge battles somehow feel fresh and nostalgic at the same time. The game feels like a natural evolution of these two titles. Nothing against Fire Emblem and the games inspired by those titles, I love them, but it's nice to see modern takes on this type of tactics RPG, something that feels both huge in scope and practice. As already stated, the critical and commercial success of the game is a great indication that people dig this style of game. Hopefully, this all escalates into a proper sequel. It's great that it's on both Switch and PC because that means even more people get to play it. SRPGs already have a niche appeal, so confining them to just one system will dramatically decrease how many people can play them. And triangle strategy should be played by as many people as possible. The only other game I played more of this year was Vampire Survivors, but that game is sweet like candy and I will never put it down. If you are a tactics fan, I would highly recommend getting your hands on Triangle Strategy. It's not often a game like this comes along. Hey, it's the end of the video, yay! Thanks for watching and I really hope you liked it. It's not hyperbole, I literally played this game 5 times in a row. My playtime is about 150 hours and I got all of the Steam achievements. I seriously love this game. And now it's time to play Tactics Ogre Reborn. There goes the last vestiges of my social life. If you like this video, please rate, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and hit up our Ko-fi if you want to support the channel. That's it for me. For RPG Fortress, I'm Richard. See you next time, and don't forget to hug a cat. Goodbye.